The pretty sad truth is that most men die poor. Now, I'm not talking about like having a family or having kids, because plenty of people are rich in that respect, and a lot of people will say like, oh, there's plenty of other ways to be rich than money. Yeah, okay, sure. But why? Why do most men die poor? Like, why is it that 1% of men own 99% of all wealth, all capital, and all these things? And the even more important question is, how do you become one of them? Because here's the thing, if there's 100 of you watching this video, you guys are all up against each other, right? So you can look at the view count of this video and recognize that all of you are up against each other in pursuit of the same thing, which is wealth. Now, an important thing to understand about the way that money works in this world, as someone that's made lots of money, is it's not fair, right? The way the market works is not the way the school system works. Your perception of fairness and equity and inclusion is based upon the societal dogma that the government wishes to educate us through. And so what happens to a lot of young guys is they go through the school system and then they go out into the world and they try and make money. And they get a pretty rude awakening, because what happens is they're like, wait, hang on a minute, like I'm not making any money. And like, you know, but I'm working really hard and I'm trying really hard, and like, you know, and then what starts happening is they become this victim of life, where they're like, oh, but you know, I've tried my best to be successful, and like, you know, oh, it's just a really hard world out there. And so let me tell you something, first of all, about why most men die poor. The first reason that most men die poor is that they become, or allow themselves to become, victims. So the second that you absolve yourself of the responsibility of your financial situation is the second that you will stay poor pretty much for the rest of your life. And if you're wondering why, well, the answer is pretty self-evident. Because look, if you're a guy and you're a man, then what you've got to realize is, whether you like it or not, everything that happens to you, right, in your life, and the state of your life is your fault. Now, is it... Not always is that true, because like, you know, if you get cancer, is that your fault? Well, yeah, if you get lung cancer and you've been smoking like 100 cigarettes a day, then yeah, that's probably your fault. But even then, like, your reaction to what happens to you is very much your responsibility. And so building wealth and building success is often about realizing like what is in your control and what is not in your control. So one thing that is not in your control is the fact that like, oh shit, is the fact, there we go, I'm just going to prop you up on something different. One thing about building wealth and not dying poor is understanding the facts. Like, there are millions, to smooth the chair back, there are millions of other men in the world watching this video and other videos like this who want to go after the same thing as you, and you're up against them. And so building wealth and making money is competition, because in the market, whether it's in the stock market or the crypto market or the agency market or the make money online market, for you to make money, you have to take that money from someone else. Now, I don't mean that in a way that you need to steal or like take it from someone in a bad way. The point I'm making is, if there is a customer here and there's two people going after that customer, only one of them can get that customer. And so there's a competition here. And basically the point I'm making is, most school systems and the way that we've been raised in the West is we've kind of been raised as pussies. Like, we've been told to like include people and play fair and, you know, like, oh, but like give him a chance and all this stuff, and it's rubbish. Like, you're going to finish school, if you haven't already, you probably have, you're watching this, and you're going to be unleashed on the world, and it's not fair out here. Like, you win by being more ruthless. You win by working harder. You win by burning yourself out more. Like, you know, if you want to make money and you want to be in that top 1% and you want to own more than everybody else combined, then you have to be more ruthless. You have to work harder. You have to be less forgiving, and you have to be a bit of a dick, honestly. And I'm not advocating for you being rude or mean or compromising your moral structure. I'm just talking about, you have to be willing to crush people in your way, your competitors. Obviously not some random grandma on the street, but all the guys that are currently going after the same customers, the same market share, the same business model, the same women that you want, the same business model that you want, like, you've got to be willing to fucking crush them. And you've got to stop like this whole like, I'm just nice to everyone, because that's what school does, and that's what school breeds. So that's the first thing, is like the first kind of 2 points to why most men die poor is, one, they don't take responsibility for their financial situation, and they allow themselves to basically become some massive victim of life. And two, they're not willing to aggressively compete. Because there's a difference between being competitive and being aggressively competitive. And you want to be aggressively competitive. Most men, when they compete, they don't take things very seriously. They kind of want to win, but like they don't really mind if they lose or if they win. Like the most successful people that I know, like if I ever play like golf with them or any sort of sport with them or anything, if they lose, they are pissed. Like they love to win and hate to lose to an extreme that's almost irrational. And I'll see this in myself if I'm like competing or playing in something that's outside of work. Like if I don't win, I get really angry at myself. And so there's a funny rule that we have in my family. So at home, with my mother, my father, etc. Like no one will ever play Monopoly with me because I take it too seriously. And so like they just want to have fun and sort of enjoy the game, but I'm there like I must win this thing. And so like what you need to do if you want to not die poor is take everything that seriously, because the way that you treat your games and your sport and your hobbies and other things outside of work is the same way you will treat your business. And so you need to become ruthless competitive. And this isn't like a nice message to deliver. I don't get any enjoyment from telling you that you have to do this, but it's kind of the truth. And if you don't believe me, like we only have to look throughout history, like look at who has the biggest empire, or look at who won the battles, or look at who took over whose land. Like it's all a competition. Like the entire life that you live is against other men. And I don't want to come across as some like, red pill dickhead here, but it is true. Like you're against other men all the time, constantly. And you've got to be willing to take the cake. So the second thing, or really the third thing besides responsibility and competitiveness, is you need to be willing to sacrifice large parts of yourself in exchange for future parts of yourself to come to fruition. And so what this means is that right now in your persona or in your identity or in your psychology, you probably have little like pieces of your identity that you sort of assign yourself to. And a lot of those little pieces are going to be misaligned with the success you want to achieve. And so one thing that I had to do when I was younger, when I was like 18, 19, trying to build an entrepreneur career and trying to build a business, is I had to almost do like an audit on my psychology. And so, one thing that I really struggled with in my first year of business was I was way too nice to people. Now, outside of business and outside of work, I can be a real sweetheart. Like if I'm talking to my grandmother or like a group of friends outside of work, or you have to have the capacity to be nice to people. You can't just be a dick all the time. But I was way too nice and way too agreeable and way too soft when I was like 18 or 19. And so what I would do is I would carry that sort of softness into my client relationships, into my sales calls, into like my disputes, into all these things in business, into like legal things and this, that, and the other. And what happened is I kind of just got pushed over left, right, and center. And it wasn't until I recognized, I was like, oh, well, the reason that I'm losing so many deals and the reason that, I'm not making as much progress as I'd like is because I'm just too nice. And so what you have to be willing to do is recognize that, look, if you had all of the traits and characteristics of a successful person, then you would already be successful. And your financial situation, all of your financial situations, your financial situation right now is a manifested, is a manifest of you. That makes sense? So where you are right now in life is because of you and no one but you. And so if you're broke and poor and you're going to die poor, it's because of you. It's not because of the market. It's not because of Trump. It's not because of Andrew Tate. It's not because of Elon Musk. It's not because of global warming or climate change. It's not because of the fact that you have some pain in your back or because English isn't your first language. It's not because of your Wi-Fi speed. It's not because of the government. It's not because of your parents. It's not because of school. It's because of you. And again, this kind of comes back to the whole victimhood thing, but you have to do a little assessment on yourself and ask yourself, like, what is it about me that is holding me back from being successful? And so some things could be like, maybe you're a lazy person, or maybe you're too nice or too agreeable or too soft, like I was at the start. Or maybe you're really judgmental and you judge people really hard, and that stops you from doing things because you're afraid of being judged in turn. Like, you've got to realize that all these little parts of you aren't necessarily things that have to stay. Like, you can change them and you can mold them and adapt them, and you have to be willing to sacrifice these things in exchange for your goal. So that's really why most men die poor. First of all, they absolve themselves of any responsibility and just become victims. Second of all, they're not willing to ruthlessly compete, and they don't want to get like aggressively competitive against other men because they're just, for whatever reason. And the third thing is getting rid of parts of yourself so that something bigger can come into play. So yeah, bye.